Let's talk to God. One more thing, like, subscribe, and share. Come on, let's talk to God. Woo!
Well, hello, everybody. Hey, it's Cutler here in the Let's Talk to Cutler broadcast, the Let's Talk to Cutler vlog, the Let's Talk to Cutler book club. And you don't have to adjust your screens or anything like that. It is still me. And someone was joking me and teasing me the other day, and they said that I looked like I was doing a scene or an audition for The Men in Black. My family and friends have all kinds of jokes, but if you're tuning in, let me just tell you what's going on. I'll tell you what's going on with me in just a moment. I typically don't wear these. I wore them the last time we were together. I'm wearing them this time, probably for the very last time, because my eyes are still dealing with some sort of light sensitivity. And I'll tell you all about that in just a second. But if this is your first time just stopping by, do me a favor, hit your brakes, pull on in, just give me about 1,800 seconds, because this channel, this conversation, this chat is really it's about hope, it's about inspiration, it's about motivation, it's about challenging us to show up a little bit better tomorrow than we did today. It does not mean by any stretch of the imagination that today was a flop or a failure or anything like that. It just means that we take the time to see what nuggets can I gain from the day, what lessons can I glean from today that will strengthen me so I can show up as a better me tomorrow. For many of us, it is about showing up as our best self. It is about showing up as our most whole selves. It is about showing up as our most victorious and our most successful selves. And we take the time to reflect every Tuesday and every Thursday for about 1,800 seconds. So for whatever space you've allowed me to come in, may I say thank you, whether it's your living room, your dining room, your kitchen, your front porch, or your walk along the park. Thank you so much for that. So again, if this is your first time, do me a favor. Make sure, if you haven't subscribed, go ahead and subscribe, for goodness sakes. Make sure that you subscribe and then click on that notification bell, because it lets you know whenever I've gone live and whenever I have uploaded new content. And then as you're coming on into the chat room, make sure that you speak to everybody. I'm from the South, I'm from the country. And one of the things that we do, we just speak whenever we enter a room. So make sure that you say hi to everybody. And let me go ahead and shout out the LTTC VIPs for this evening. Cutler, you're talking mighty fast. Who are these LTTC VIPs? They're the people who tend to jump into the chat early on, the first 3 people to jump into the chat. And I like shouting them out because it gives us all a chance to do that. So let me just go ahead and shout out the LTTC VIPs for just a moment. And then I'll come back and tell you what we're going to spend our time talking about this evening. They are, let's see, Annie Cutler says, get aboard, let's ride. Why does she say let's ride? Because we are going down this highway of life. And we're forming a caravan, and we're making sure that when we arrive at a destination that's called better, we don't show up by ourselves. But every Tuesday and Thursday evening, we invite people to come along with us. That is why we say, come on, let's talk to Cutler. So Annie says, get aboard, let's ride. And then right behind Annie, there's Paula D. Good evening to you, my friend Paula. Paula says, hello, everyone. I love it, the way that everybody speaks when they come into the chat room, when they come into when you come into a room, you just speak. You're the newcomer to the room, so you just walk in and speak. So hello to everybody. Good to see you, my friend Paula D. I hope you're having a great evening. And then let's see who's closing it out with third, who comes on in. T Cutler says, good evening, LTTC family. Happy Thursday. Yes, T Cutler, it is Thursday already. It is the 14th of April. The week has moved on, and so have we. We're moving right along with the week. We're not getting left behind in the slow lane and the slow traffic, but we're moving right along on our destination to the space that's called better. Well, you all, I know that we have been reading from this book, and I promise you I will get back to it next week. But with all that's going on with me, I just keep having these moments of inspiration to share some other things that are near and dear to my heart. But I know we've been reading from this book, When I Am Overwhelmed, How to Handle Life at Its Most Intense Moments. It is I think because of the screen blur, it is not you, it is my screen because of a screen blur. There we go. When I Am Overwhelmed, How to Handle Life at Its Most Intense Moments. It's my 6th book. So you can Yes, book number 6. So you can run on over to Amazon.com and pick it up. Just search for Gregory Brad Cutler and pick it up. You don't need it to join the conversation, but it certainly helps. And we're on our way to chapter 11 to discuss chapter 11 and 12, and then the end of the book. We've been really talking about these intense moments in life, things that we're going through, things that we're experiencing, and we are sharing a dialogue to see how we can strengthen ourselves to show up better, how we can strengthen ourselves to make sure that when these overwhelming moments come, that we don't succumb to them. Because how many of us know that life has a way of sometimes knocking the wind out of you, which is not a good thing, but then sometimes it has a way of taking the breath out of you, so it can knock the wind out of you. And I say that's just not such a good thing, but then it gives you moments that will take your breath away, and then those are good things. So before I get into our conversation for this evening, I want you all to know, why is Cutler wearing these dark glasses? As it turns out, I had several corneal ulcers in my eye, and they created such light sensitivity. So sometimes lights like this fluorescent light that's right in front of me, sometimes for the past few days, they have created this light sensitivity. And I'm doing fine, you all. I am on antibiotic ointments, and I'm dropping them in my eyes, and they're doing much better. I had a follow-up with my ophthalmologist the other day. I have another follow-up next week. So thank you all so much for caring about me and being so concerned. And that really is the crux and the gist of our conversation tonight, because I've received so many nice text messages, so many nice email messages. It makes people feel good when they know who is in their corner. And that's what I want to talk about this evening. One of the things when it comes to handling those most intense moments in life, making sure that you know how to handle those moments that would otherwise overwhelm you, it's about knowing who's in your corner. And I want to talk about this evening because it is so important for us to know. You want to make sure that you don't become overwhelmed. Make sure that you know who's in your corner. Make sure you can say, tag, you're it for me this day, because I'm tagging out right now. I don't have enough wherewithal. I don't have enough energy. I don't have enough or stick to itness. I don't have enough left for today. Know who's in your corner, who will strengthen you, because that is so very important. And I want to talk about that. I want to talk about knowing who is in your corner. But before I talk about knowing who's in your corner, I'm going to start and stop with this. You want people in your corner who are confident enough in themselves to be confident in you. May I say that again? You want people in your corner who are confident enough in themselves to be confident in you. They're not intimidated by you, by your greatness, by your success, by your victory. They're not intimidated by your strength. They're not intimidated by your talents, by your gifts, or anything. You want people in your corner who are confident enough in themselves to be confident in you. I I don't know how I came across that, but that saying stuck with me. That saying stuck with me. And as a matter of fact, because I only have 1,800 seconds, I need to make sure that I don't waste your time. Let me just for a few moments give you a few signs that someone is not in your corner. We'll end on a positive note, but let me start by telling you the thing. How can you know, Cutler, how do I know when people are not in my corner? I'm just going to give you a few signs. And if you all recognize them, just put it in the chat and let's talk about it. All right. People who are self-centered are not in your corner. People who are self-centered, they are not in your corner. Cutler, what do you mean self-centered? I mean, the conversation is always about them and theirs. You can start a conversation, you could talk about your children, and before you know it, the conversation has spun and they've started talking about theirs. You can talk about your cat and they're talking about the goldfish. You can talk about your shed out back and they're talking about their house. You can start talking about anything. You can start talking about the wonderful dogwood tree that's coming up in your backyard, and they're going to start telling you about the thistles and the thorns that are coming up in their front yard. I mean, before you know it, the conversation is about them and theirs. Self-centered. Self-centered. Those people are not necessarily in your corner. I mean, and this may not be an end-all, be-all. It may not be an exhaustive list or anything like that. But these are things that you want to look out for. Classic users. You hang out with them, you go out to dinner with them, you meet them for lunch, and they always let you pick up the check. Do you all know anybody like that? classic users. And that's just an example because people can use you in more ways than just having you to always pick up the check. But people who are self-centered, they're not in your corner. Classic users, they're not in your corner. And how about this? Perpetual victims. I call people perpetual victims. You always have to come to their rescue, but they never come to yours. They may not be in your corner. It's one thing when out of a sense of friendship and obligation, you say, I need to be there for them. I need to help them. But what about when you are in dire straits? What about when you are in needs and they never come to your rescue? They are always the victim. What, they are always the victim. You always have to listen to their sob stories, their sad stories. But the moment you start talking about what's troubling you, they tune and turn a deaf ear. They tune out and turn a deaf ear. The moment you start talking about the things that ache, that break your heart, they're no longer there. They are the perpetual victims. Then people who never say thank you. You're always kind, you're always benevolent, you're always courteous, you're always just gracious, and they never say thank you. It is almost as if they take your kindness for granted. These people may not necessarily be in your corner. I'm telling you, we're going to end on a positive note, but I have to get these things out. And why do I get these things out? Why is this near and dear to me this evening? Because again, as I'm thinking about those of you who were kind enough to me and just say, Cutler, how are you doing, man? What's going on with your eyes? What's going on with your health? I thought about that and I thought people don't have to be kind. People don't have to ask about you and genuinely mean it. But I'm telling you all, these might be signs that people are not in your corner if they're self-centered, if they're classic users, if they're perpetual victims, if they never say thank you, and if they're always asking for favors. They're always asking you for favors. And they may be subtle about it sometimes, but they're always asking you for favors. You've got to help them move. You've got to help them find a job. You've got to help them with their businesses. You've got to help them when they're broke down. You are always responding to their request for favors. Can I borrow your lawnmower? Can I borrow your clippers? Can I borrow your this? Can I borrow this? You are always responding to them asking you for favors. They may not be in your corner. Cutler, why would you talk about this? Because it sounds so negative. The reason I'm talking about this, y'all, is because this helps us to build a space of peace. You all know I'm big on building a habitat of peace. Sometimes you've got to learn how to build that space of peace. And it has to be built with people who are in your corner. And then here is a big telltale sign. When you start resenting people, they may not be in your corner. I'm talking about us. I'm not even necessarily talking about how you perceive that they feel about you, but how you feel about them. When you start resenting people, they may not be in your corner. Intuitively, instinctively, you may resent them for some reason. That means you don't have the tenacity or the strength to open your heart up to them any longer because you start resenting them. They may not be in your corner. And then what about this? Emotional discomfort. I'm just offering some telltale signs that people may not be in your corner, you all. You don't really feel comfortable around them. Have you all ever been around people that you don't necessarily feel comfortable around, but for some reason, I don't know if it's out of obligation, but you feel every time I have a social event, I have to invite them, but you're not emotionally comfortable around them. Or if they invite me to the party, they invite me to the house, I feel out of a sense of obligation I have to go, but you're not emotionally comfortable around them. They might not be in your corner. What about the fact that they may never make you feel appreciated? They may not be in your corner. I'm going to hasten through these because I want to get to how you can tell when people are in your corner. Well, how about this one, you all? What about when your circle and your network begins to side-eye them? I think side-eye is a term that the young people use, but it means when they start looking at them funny. Because a lot of times, whether we want to acknowledge it or not, the people who are in our network, the people who are in our inner circles, they know so much about our personalities. They know so much about our strengths. They know so much about our spirits. And sometimes those people in your circle, in your inner circle, and in your network, they will side eye those other people because it is something, Angie, you are spot on with where I'm going with this. Because there's sometimes some people who are in your close circle and in your network, they know people whose spirits don't match yours. And they recognize, Angie, just as you have said, they recognize when there are people who have messy spirits. They recognize when there are people who have messy spirits. And sometimes we have to give an ear to those people. You have to respect the people who know you and know you well. You have to respect the people who are in your network and who are in your inner circle. And when they say to you, sometimes I just can't put my finger on it, but there's something not right about him or not right about her. We have to, for the sake of friendship and inner circle and network connectivity, they are there for a reason. Do you not know that there's some people in your space, they are there because they have been divinely appointed to your space. They have been divinely appointed to your network and your inner circle. And you have to give credence to their value in your life. And when they say to you, I can't put my finger on it, but there's something not right about him or her, at least listen. Don't just give them a deaf ear and walk away, but you may want to listen. You all are so right. So let me just share some of the things that you all are saying as I'm chit-chatting. Yeah, Paula D says the victim mentality is draining. Paula, it is so draining because people who play victims will pull from your energy all the time. They'll suck the energy right out of you. And the next thing you know, you are empty and you're wondering why. Why am I tired? Why do I have no energy? Why am I frustrated? Because people who play victims will pull your energy. T. Cutler, thank you. Sometimes I want to know that at least I'm sharing something that is beneficial for all of us as we're riding along to the space that's called better. You all know I'm a proponent of inviting everybody to come along for the ride if they want to be better. If you're going to be in our corner, if you're going to be in this caravan with us, we're on this on the highway on our way to the space that's called better. And we invite you to come along. And in our individual lives, we invite you to come along. But if you are not going to be in my corner, if you're going to be the one ciphering the gasoline out of my tank, if you're going to be the one putting a slow leak in my tires, then you're not in my corner. And you're trying to hinder me from getting to the space that's called better. And it's okay. It's okay. It's okay to know that people are not in your corner. I say knowledge is powerful. Knowledge is power. I want to know when people are not in my corner. So that way I don't have to expend unnecessary energy. You want people in your corner who are confident enough in themselves to be confident in you. So Cutler, tell us about how then, now you've told us about people, these signs to know when people are not in our corner. How can we know, my friend, when people possibly are in our corners? How can we know? And let me just ask you all this before I keep on going. Do you all know people like this? Have you encountered people like this? People, you got the signs that they were not in your corner, but for some reason you kept on going and you kept them there. All I can say, you all, is we live and we learn. All I can say is we hope and we pray that we learn the lesson before it is too late, so that our lives are not filled with people who really don't have our interest at heart. I want to know. Thank you, Queen of them all. Yeah, yes, and even I have had people in my life who were not necessarily in my corner, and I had to evaluate. You all know this. We have done people inventory. Sometimes you have to do people inventory, and I suspect this evening that's what I'm doing. We're doing people inventory because I don't want to be overwhelmed. I want to make sure I have the right people in my life who can help me build those building blocks to create this space of peace. So then, Cutler, You only have 1,800 seconds. Can you tell me, my friend, my brother, can you tell me about some signs that will show me the people who are in my corner? Well, let me tell you some signs when people who are in your corner, you know them. One is when they have your best interest at heart. People who are in your corner, you all, they have your best interest at heart. They don't project their issues or their worries on you. They share, but they are careful not to dump. Let me say that again. People who have your best interest at heart are people who are in your corner, or people in your corner have your best interest at heart. They don't project their issues or their worries on you. They don't project, they share, because we want to know what's going on in the lives of our friends, our family members, people who are near and dear to us. But people who have your best interest at heart, they're careful not to dump on you, but they share. They share what's near and dear to them. They share what's going on in their lives. They share the good and the not so good. It's okay, they share, but they're careful not to dump. They act with your best interest in mind. They will talk with your interest in mind. They will support you with your interest in mind. If you sing, they're going to clap. Doesn't matter how you sound, they're going to clap because they have your best interest at heart. You throw a party, they are going to show up. You reach a milestone, they're going to rejoice just like it was them. You achieve a success or an accomplishment, they're going to celebrate just like it was them. These are people who have your best interest at heart. That's how you can tell when people are in your corner. Another way that you can tell people in your corner, they're not offended if you don't take their advice. I had to learn this one, you all. I had to learn this one. Let me say it one more time. I had to learn this one. Because there were times when I thought, if they didn't, why you ask me for my advice? You're not going to take my advice. And may I just be transparent? I would get offended by the fact that people didn't take my advice. But what I had to learn was that people who are in my corner and people whose corner I stand in, they're not offended if you don't take their advice. People who are in your corner respect the fact that you are your own person. Get this, you all. Even if they sit up all night with you, talking about how you ought to quit your job, how you ought to call off a relationship, how you ought to relocate across the country, how you ought to buy this car or that car, how you ought to build this house or that house. They won't hold it against you when you do just the opposite. Why? Because they respect the fact that they can provide options, pour wisdom, but they don't get offended or take it personally when you follow your own mind. I had to learn that one. They don't get offended if you don't take their advice. Because one of the things about friendships and people who are in your corner, it's about a give and take and exchange and showing possibilities. Sometimes when you share possibilities and your objective, you're just showing them what could be. You're showing them another thing to evaluate. But you allow them the space to make their own decisions. Don't get upset with people if they don't take your advice. You've just shown them another perspective. You've just shown them another possibility. You've just given them something else to evaluate, something else to analyze in the whole scheme of things. You pour into them and allow them to sip slowly. All right? Here's another thing, you all, because we could stay here, but Cutler, how else might I know when people are in my corner? They challenge you. I don't want people in my life who would just leave me stagnant, people who will leave me in one position, people who don't challenge me to grow. But if you want to be better, get some friends who are honest with you. Because the people in your corner, they believe in your potential. They believe in your potential, but they don't paint you with unrealistic expectations. I don't want people let me just put this up. Because you all are spot on and I'm enjoying these conversations and these chats that you all are sharing. Yes, thank you, McDonough. Yes, watch out. for time wasters, those that complain all the time. Absolutely. And then, Tracy, I love what you're saying. Angie, yes, we're pouring into each other. And then, Tracy, I love what you said here. Having friends that may think differently is a good thing because we are so different. We are so different, and we want people who will offer us something different, something else for us to analyze, something else for us to evaluate. I don't want an exact mirror image of me. I don't need clones of me in my life because I am created uniquely by the Creator. I only need one me in my life, and you need only one you in your life. But it's a beautiful thing when we can think differently. T. Cutler, it takes a real friend to challenge you. It takes a real friend to challenge you. And do you not know you become stronger when you get some kind of resistance? It's just like working in the gym, working out in the gym. Your muscles become stronger when they get some kind of resistance, something that pulls or pushes against them. Friendships, life, they're the same way. I become better when there's some kind of resistance, when I have friends who don't necessarily think the same way that I do. They don't see life exactly like I see it. Thank you, Paula D. We need friends in our life, people in our life who have their own opinions. You don't need yes people in your circle. I'm telling you, if I were in the country, queen of them all, you say, there you go, speak. I'm telling you, if I would tell you how I grew up, we would say you don't need people who always gonna kiss up to you. That's just I don't know how to put it any other way. But that's how we would call it in the country. You don't need people who are always gonna kiss up to you, but you need people who are gonna challenge you. And as they challenge you, they don't push you beyond your limitations. They don't put these unrealistic expectations, but they believe in your greatness. So they challenge you to be greater. They believe in your strength, so they challenge you to be stronger. They believe in your goodness, so they challenge you to be better. That's people who are in your corner. They're honest enough to say where you are is good, but where you're going can be better. They're honest enough to say you are strong, but there's more strength in you. There's greatness in you. Are great, but there's greater in you. And they're honest enough not to let you settle for status quo. We ought to give thanks for people like that. They tell you the truth, even when everyone else is smiling in your face and lying behind your back. And guess what? They might disagree with you, but they do it in love. That gets to not having yes people in our lives. People start saying yes to everything that you do, everything that you say. Be careful, because they just may not be in your corner. Not the way that you need. Let me keep on going, because again, this stems from my recognition lately and my gratitude for people who are in my corner. And as I have people who are in my corner, I make sure I want to be in somebody else's corner as well. So this is about knowing who's in your corner. May I give you one more indication when people are in your corner? How do you know, Cutler? Because they cheer you on, even when you're not on top. People who are in your corner will cheer you on even when you're not on top. Even when it looks like you're not winning, they keep cheering. Think about cheerleaders at a game. The team may not be winning, but the cheerleaders are still cheering. They're not fair weather friends. Even when you're a little off track, they keep pushing. They hang in there for all of the highs and the lows in your life. They hang in there for all of the ups and the downs in your life. They hang in there for all of the ins and the outs and the roundabouts in your life. They keep cheering, they keep pushing you, and they keep calling you to greatness. This evening, I challenge us to stop and do people inventory one more time Identify the people in your corner. You want to make sure you try to avoid becoming overwhelmed as much as possible. Identify the people in your corner and let them know that you're thankful for being there, for them being there. Let them know that you're I am so thankful for every cheerleader that God has ever allowed to come into my life. And one of the things that I've learned, one of the things that I know is just because they come in my life as a cheerleader, they may not necessarily stay there always, but I'm thankful for their tenure. I'm thankful for the time that they will have been in my life. I'm thankful. So as you take inventory, identify the people who are in your corner and let them know that you're thankful for them. Pushing us to greatness, pushing us to better, pushing us to success, pushing us to victory, pushing us to be our best selves. I'm going to end the same way this conversation started. You want people in your corner who are confident enough in themselves to be confident in you. Let me say thank you all so much for spending these 1,800 seconds with me this evening. And I encourage us to go and tell other people, come on, let's talk the color. You all do me a favor. Let's keep building community. Let's maintain connectivity. Stay safe and stay sane. Keep your heads up. Keep your hopes up. And know this, that from my heart to yours, there is and will always be so much love. And may I say thank you for being among my cheerleaders. I will see you next Tuesday at 8 o'clock for 1,800 seconds. Until then, good night, everybody.